Today we are looking at healthy eating. A healthy diet is essential for good health and nutrition. It protects you against many chronic non-communicable diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. Eating a variety of food and consuming less salt and sugar and saturated fat are essential for healthy diets. Let's look at some of the facts about healthy eating. A healthy diet helps to protect against malnutrition in all its forms, as well as non-communicable diseases, including diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and cancer. Unhealthy diet and lack of physical activity are leading global risk to health. Healthy dietary practices start early in life. For example, breastfeeding fosters healthy growth and improves cognitive development, and may have longer-term health benefits such as reducing the risk of becoming overweight or obese and develop non-communicable diseases later on in life. Energy intake, that's calories, should be in balance with energy expenditure. To avoid unhealthy weight gain, total fat should not exceed 30% of total energy intake. Intake of saturated fat should be less than 10% of total energy intake, and intake of trans fat less than 1% of total energy intake, with a shift in fat consumption away from saturated fats and trans fat to unsaturated fats and towards the goal of eliminating industrially produced trans fat. These are some of the facts from the World Health Organization. Limiting intake of free sugar to less than 10% of total energy intake is part of a healthy diet. A further reduction to less than 5% of total energy intake is suggested for additional health benefits. The third point here is keeping salt intake to less than 5 grams per day, equivalent to sodium intake of less than 2 grams per day, helps to prevent hypertension and reduces the risk of heart diseases and stroke in the adult population. So WHO member states have agreed to reduce the global population intake of salt by 30% by 2025. They've also agreed to halt the rise in diabetes and obesity in adults and adolescents, as well as in childhood overweight by 2025. Consuming a healthy diet throughout the life, of course, helps to prevent malnutrition in all its forms, as well as a range of non-communicable diseases and conditions. However, increased production of processed food, rapid urbanization, and changing lifestyle have led to a shift in dietary patterns. People are now consuming more foods high in energy, fats, free sugars, and sodium, and many do not eat enough fruits, vegetables, and other dietary fibers such as whole grain. The exact makeup of a diversified, balanced, and healthy diet will vary depending on individual characteristics. Example: age, gender, lifestyle, and degree of physical activities, cultural context, locally available food, and dietary customs. However, the basic principle of what constitutes a healthy diet remains the same. A healthy diet includes the following: fruits, vegetables, legumes, example lentils and beans, nut and whole grains, example unprocessed maize, millet, oats, wheat, and brown rice. At least 400 grams, that is 5 portions of fruit and vegetables per day, excluding potatoes, sweet potatoes, cassava, and other starchy foods. Less than 10% of total energy intake from free sugar, which is equivalent to 50 grams for a person of healthy body weight, consuming about 2,000 calories per day, but ideally is less than 5% of total energy intake for additional health benefits. Free health sugar are all sugar added to food or drink by manufacturers, cook, or consumer, as well as sugar naturally present in honey, syrup, fruits, juices, and fruit juice concentrates. Less than 30% of total energy intake should come from fats. You should eat mostly unsaturated fat, which can be found in fish, avocado, and nuts, and in sunflower, soybean, canola, and olive oils are preferable to saturated fats. When you want to maintain a healthy diet, you must eat at least 500 grams or 5 portions of fruit and vegetables per day. This helps to reduce the risk of non-communicable diseases and help to ensure an adequate daily intake of dietary fiber. Fruit and vegetable intake can be improved by always including vegetables in meals, eating fresh fruit and raw vegetables as snack, eating fresh fruit and vegetables that are in season, and eating a variety of fruits and vegetables. Reducing the amount of total fat intake to less than 30% of total energy intake helps to prevent unhealthy weight gain in the adult population. And it's also helped to reduce the risk of developing non-communicable diseases. So you have to reduce saturated fat to less than 10% of total energy intake, reduce the quantity of trans fat that you eat to less than 1% of total energy intake, and replacing both saturated fat and trans fat with unsaturated fat, in particular with polyunsaturated fat. Then reducing your salt, sodium and potassium intake. Most people consume too much sodium through salt, corresponding to consuming an average of 9 to 12 grams of salt per day, and not enough potassium. So high sodium intake and insufficient potassium intake contributes to high blood pressure, which in turn increases the risk of heart diseases and stroke. Reducing your salt intake to the recommended level of less than 5 grams per day could prevent 1.7 million deaths each year. People are often aware of the amount of salt they consume. In many countries, most salt comes from processed foods such as ready meals, processed meats such as bacon, ham and salami, cheese and salty snacks, or from food consumed frequently in large amounts, example bread. Salt is also added to food during cooking, example bouillon or stock cubes, soy sauce, fish sauce, or at the point of consumption, example table salt. Salt intake can be reduced by limiting the amount of salt and high sodium condiments, example soy sauce, fish sauce, bouillon when cooking and preparing foods, not having salt or high sodium sauces on the table, limiting this consumption of salty snacks, and choosing products with lower sodium content. Potassium can mitigate the negative effects of elevated sodium consumption on blood pressure. So intake of potassium can be increased by consuming fresh fruits and vegetables, limiting the amount of sugar you consume. In both adults and children, the intake of free sugar should be reduced to less than 10% of total energy intake. A reduction to less than 5% of total energy intake will provide additional health benefits. Consuming free sugar increases the risk of dental caries, that is tooth decay. Excess calories from food and drinks high in free sugar also contribute to unhealthy weight gain, which can lead to overweight and obesity. Recent evidence shows that free sugar influences blood pressure and serum lipids, and suggests that a reduction in free sugar intake reduces risk factors for cardiovascular diseases. Sugar intake can be reduced by limiting the consumption of food and drinks containing high amounts of sugar, such as sugary snacks, candies, sugar-sweetened beverages, that is all type of beverages containing free sugar. This include carbonated or non-carbonated soft drinks, fruit or vegetable juices and drinks, liquid and powder concentrate, flavored water, energy and sports drink, ready-to-drink tea, ready-to-drink coffee, flavored milk drinks, and eating fresh fruit and vegetables as snack instead of sugary snacks. How to promote healthy diets? Diet evolves over time, being influenced by many social and economic factors that interact in a complex manner to shape individual dietary patterns. These factors include income, food prices, individual preferences, beliefs, cultural traditions, and geographical environmental aspects. Therefore, promoting a healthy food environment includes food systems that promote a diversified, balanced, and healthy diet. Requires the involvement of multiple sectors and stakeholders, including governments, the public, and private sector. So, for you to implement healthy diet, you watch some of the things that you eat. WHO recommends that people eat a wide variety of vegetables and fruit. For snacks, choose raw vegetables and fresh fruits rather than foods that are high in sugar, fat, or salt. Avoid overcooking vegetables and fruits, as this can lead to loss of important vitamins. When using canned or dried vegetables and fruit, choose varieties without added salt or sugar. Vegetables and fruits are important sources of vitamins, minerals, dietary fiber, plant protein, and antioxidants. People whose diets are rich in vegetables and fruits have a significantly lower risk of obesity, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and certain types of cancer. So, moderate amount of fats and oils are part of a healthy diet. Fats and oils are concentrated sources of energy, and the wrong kinds of fats can be harmful to health. For example, people who eat too much saturated fat and trans fat are at a higher risk of heart disease and stroke. Trans fat may occur naturally in certain meat and milk products, but the industrially produced trans fat, example, partially hydrogenated oils present in various processed food, is the main source. Use unsaturated vegetable oils such as olive, soy, sunflower, or corn oil rather than animal fats or oils high in saturated fat, example, butter, ghee, lard, coconut, and palm oil. When possible, choose white meats, example, poultry and fish, which are generally low in fat, rather than red meat. Eat only limited amount of processed meat because these are high in fat and salt. Try also to opt for low-fat or reduced-fat versions of milk and dietary products. Avoid processed, baked, fried foods that contain industrially produced trans fat. People whose diets are rich in sodium, including salt, have a greater risk of high blood pressure, which can increase their risk of heart diseases and stroke. Similarly, those whose diets are high in sugar have a greater risk of becoming overweight or obese and an increased risk of tooth decay. People who reduce the amount of sugar in the diet may also reduce their risk of non-communicable diseases such as heart disease and stroke. When cooking and preparing food, limit the amount of salt and high sodium condiments that you use. Also, try to avoid food like snacks that are high in salt and sugar. Limit intake of soft drinks or soda and other drinks that are high in sugar, example, fruit juices, cordials and syrup, flavored milks and yogurt drinks, and choose fresh fruits instead of sweet snacks such as cookies, cakes, and chocolate. If you do this, you'll be able to eat healthy and attain your favorable body weight. If you like our videos, kindly subscribe, turn on the notification bells so that you get our videos as they drop.